Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, I worked really hard yesterday. I've been neglecting my website over the last few months, well, for a number of reasons, mostly concerning time constraints. But lately, I have this urge to finish all these unfinished projects, of which I unfortunately have many. Half written stories and books, half made toys and crafts, half drawn painted artworks. Good golly, it's just never ending. Closest to my heart, though, is obviously my YouTube channel and my writing. So that is where I started yesterday. When I was in Canada in 2021, I started writing a book about my journey with royalty. A rather funny, humorous book of anecdotes about my own life and how it evolved in parallel with the royal family. But not only with the British royal family, but also with other royals around the world, such as our own late Zulu king, King Goodwill Zwelithini. I had so much fun doing it that in the evenings I sat drawing silly cartoons to go into the book. And I had so much fun doing that I started planning a second book before I even finished the first one because I was afraid that I may forget what I wanted to do before I got to do it. Anyway, ADD on full display. Never mind. I've decided to make work of what I did to date and finally start getting it all out. So, my dearie dears, the first one has received some keenish interest, let me just say that, but I've not decided which route I want to go yet. Will I throw my trust in with a publisher again, which did not work out too well for me before, or do I self publish? Anyway, while I mull that over, I'm editing the first book and trying to finish it. Although I must admit that it has taken on a life of its own. So, to give you a taste of what the book is or will be like, I will make the first chapter unedited available to you for free on my website. My techie daughter is still updating the website, and once done, she'll load chapter one and I'll post the link in my community tab for you. Okay, so then I did some research and studying for this weekend's video over on my other channel, Bookworm on the Case. It is again an interesting one, although I'm not sure that there is indeed any mystery or crime involved in this week's story. It is still a sad one anyway. Then, as the sun started to set, I started doing my research for this video. And I think this is an important, yet in a way also a rather sad video. And in order to explain to you why I think it is a rather sad one, I unfortunately have to do a little preaching, which I hate doing, but here goes. None of us ever go into a situation thinking or expecting it to fail or hurt us or hurt others or damage others or our environment unless you are a kook or a masochist. We all have the best of intentions when we start a relationship or endeavor. As much as I now dislike Harry, I think it was the same with him when he got involved with Meghan. And although Meghan's intentions and visions may have differed vastly from Harry's, I do not think she thought it would turn out the way it did either. Yes, maybe she thought that by now she would be queen of the world. We don't know what she thought or expected, but I can guarantee you that she also expected something vastly different. That, my dears, are facts. It makes sense because we have all been there, whether in a relationship or a job or other activities and ventures. Okay, so Harry and Meghan are now likely at a stage or phase in their relationship where they are less infatuated and less blind to each other's problems. But what does it all mean? And why is it actually concerning me? What am I seeing? What am I feeling? Where are my instincts leading me? Now, guys, before I carry on, let me say what I know some of you are going to say in the comment section. I am not. I am not a medical professional, and I am not diagnosing anyone. I am only applying common sense, logic, and my own life experiences. Unfortunately for me, my life had been a bit of a mess, and I saw and experienced a little too much for one person. But with that said, let's carry on. Everyone and their grandma are now talking about Megan's latest pep walk. Now, wow, whoa, 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 whoa. Breaks, everybody. Megan is a human being. We cannot expect her to stay indoors all the time. We cannot expect her to not do normal things. Okay? We have seen other celebrities out and about doing normal things. But wait, don't run away. I'm not about to start protecting Megsy, okay? Yes, we see celebrities being photographed doing ordinary things, but how often? Let's say you are a huge fan of Sandra Bullock or Reese Witherspoon or Oprah or whoever, and you follow them as much as you can. How often do you see them on the front page of a newspaper or magazine, pumping gas or walking the dog or buying groceries, etc.? Unless, of course, you follow their own social media pages, blah, blah, blah. Well, not often. Once in 3 months, we may see something like that in a tabloid, or once in 6 months, or once a year, depending on the popularity of the star at the time, depending on what project they are busy with, and depending on the gossip around them at the time. For example, when Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes split up, and for a year or two after that, we saw hundreds of photographs of Katie and Siri everywhere, shopping, buying ice cream, hailing a taxi, etc., etc. But now it is all yesterday's news, and we may see Katie and Siri in the media out and about once every few months. Ask your freelance photographers the money they earn with irrelevant or redundant photos are not worth the effort. Often these kind of pictures come from a member of the public who pulled out a cell phone and was lucky enough to sell it for a few dollars, or sometimes just shared it on their own social media. With Megan, this is, however, not the case. Look at her last couple of pap photographs. The one with her bodyguard in the striped sweater. Where was she going? There is no content or context to the photographs. Just her walking across an empty parking lot and then obviously striking a bad modeling pose in front of a building. Then the farmer's market one. Okay, that one I can sort of forgive her for because at least she had a definite destination. But I'm inclined to think that it was also a set-up shot, pap shot, or maybe she even just asked her security to take a few pictures because the photographs were actually so bad that that is what it looked like. It looked like cell phone pictures. But the reason why I think it was more about the photographs than the actual activity is because, again, her body language tells you she is very aware of the camera. And secondly, she brings that huge bag to a farmer's market and buy a tiny bunch of flowers and I think maybe a pot of honey. What was she hoping for? freebies? I don't know, but I am a mother, and so are my daughters. And when we go to these kind of markets, we buy breads and baked goods like rusks and biscuits and vegetables and fruit and all kinds of things to last us until the next market. Last time there was a lady with the most gorgeous coffees as well. Anyway, I am yet to come across someone going to all the trouble to go to a farmer's market and then only wander around a few of the outer stalls and then turn around and go home. Anyway, and then there was the birthday pap photographs, the cheap dress with the black and white, but we'll get to that later. And then there was this last one. I looked it up because lately I don't believe anyone anymore, or at least not without doing some checking myself. So it was indeed 81 degrees Fahrenheit at the time in Montecito, which is about 26.27 degrees Celsius, which is a pretty decent temperature for short sleeves and bare legs, or at least some lightweight clothing. Yet we see Megan in a Max Mara coat, a beige sweater, white jeans, and a cashmere Hermes shawl. Now, in my opinion, weather aside, she looked 100% okay, but totally and obviously inappropriately dressed for the weather. Look at her bodyguard, who is in lightweight pants and a short sleeved shirt. So, what the heck is going on? Well, in my opinion, far more than meets the eye. Yes, indeed, she may be merching the Max Mara coat, Chanel slingbacks, Hermes shawl, Goyard tote bag, Givenchy belt, and then she was obviously merching that blue patch, that so-called stress or anti-stress patch. Yes, indeed, it's not even a guess, as it is clear from Newcom's website that Megan is indeed merching these patches for them. The patches cost about $80 for a pack of 20 and is supposed to provide resonance and frequencies and a sensation of calmness. Well, all I can say about this is that it is a pretty cheap way of marketing your product. Why not set up a proper filmed talk or a proper choreographed shoot? Cheap, cheap, cheap. But this is not what I really want to talk about. 3 pack walks, 2 of them 100% set up. And we know this because of what Megan wore and the place she was photographed at and the lack of content and context of the actual photographs. The third one is 50-50. It could have been a normal outing or even a setup, but all 3 show a very, very, very big issue. Something is very wrong with Megsy. 1. I'm going to show you a close-up of her face from 2 of these walks. No makeup, and she looks like a lost 7-year-old. She looks perplexed, puzzled, yet somehow blank. And there is no reason for her to look like that. It is an expected shoot. She is with a bodyguard. She has been filmed and photographed thousands of times. Yet she even appears to try and hide behind the bodyguard, looking even more juvenile. Okay, so let's look at her body language. In every photograph, every pap walk, we see her fidgeting with her hair, her face, her neck. I look at some of these photographs and I cannot understand how Megan's left arm is not in spasm, as it is always in the air touching her hair or face. It is an extremely uncomfortable stance, and if you carefully analyze it, it is not one we regularly take, even though we may tuck our hair behind our ears, etc. But this gesture of Megan is above and beyond and exaggerated, and it shows a few things. One being just how over aware yet uncomfortable she is in her own skin. Her discomfort and insecurity not only drapes her body, but it fills the space around her in almost all the photos taken of her lately, even those taken on the eve of her birthday in that striped tube dress. In those, her mouth is laughing, but her eyes are confused and almost unfocused. I looked at a small clip of the two men seeing her off at the car. It looks like two people seeing off their 80-year-old grandma with Alzheimer's. Their body language shows an empathetic air of tolerance, making sure she is safely in the vehicle, strapped in before her carers take over. That is what the interaction looked like. Then there is something else which we had often seen on Megan. When we were kids, my father always told us shoulders back, elbows in. Megan is often slouching, but in Megan's case, it's more a reaching, pushing forward thing than a slouch. It's a sign of greed, of FOMO, fear of losing out, of desperately wanting the attention, wanting to be in every shot. Again, a very juvenile action, very immature, and a definite sign of someone who has little control over her body and emotions. We've all been there, just wanting to go, 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 but we have to hold back out of politeness, etc. Megan does not have that filter anymore, and it is getting worse. She looks awkward because she has lanky, thin arms which are constantly flapping, waving, or up in the air. Never or hardly ever calm, still, by her side, elbows in. Those bendy outward elbows are a form of what is called catapulting. It is an unconscious effort to balance yourself and to portray a little aggression, strength, and control. It's the brain's attempt to balance out the fear, insecurity, and discomfort, a sort of foot stomping facade. Sorry, guys, I do not have the medical psychological terms to explain it. So I can only hope you can feel my describing gestures behind the microphone. Okay, and now finally we are coming full circle. Megan talks with her hands, gestures all the time, likes to point, which is rude. Her hands are always between her midriff and her head, well, mostly. And this brings us back full circle to someone who is not in control of herself or her emotions. Now, guys, if there's one sure way to put yourself in someone else's shoes, it is actually to physically do it. How do you feel walking around with your elbows bent for 2 hours and touching your hair and face every 5 minutes? Do you feel comfortable? Okay. Now walk like you are storming something, pushing your neck and face a little forward with bent elbows slightly out. Do you feel comfortable? No. Do you feel a little deranged? Well, that is how Megan is feeling likely all of her waking moments lately. Now for the clincher. Meghan Markle and her staff and her PR see everything written about her. They know we are laughing at her for these ridiculous papwalks. They know we are talking about the pretentiousness, They know we are recognizing the cheap teenage influencer style merchandising. Megan intellectually knows it, but there's a compulsion, a driving force inside of her which forces her and drives her to do it again and again and again. Again, put yourself in her shoes. You get caught on a huge, embarrassing lie, such as the fake car chase through the streets of Manhattan. Yet, only a few weeks later, you are out there again, wearing a coat and a jersey and a shawl in sunny 81 degrees weather. Nothing about this is in any way normal. It is deranged and shows a person who is desperate and out of control and as close to breaking point as you can possibly imagine. Now, although I do not like her and can't forgive her for what she has done to the British nation and the elderly Queen, I look at the latest photographs of Meghan Markle and my stomach pulls into a knot and tense up. The emptiness behind the eyes, the life force almost ebbing away, and a little girl clinging to her last hope for fame and money. People are saying she never takes the kids with her because she does not want them to draw attention away from her. And that is likely very true, and also shows how warped her mind is. But I also do not think Meghan, on her own, bodyguard or not, is currently capable of handling two or even one child on her own. Something is off in the nether regions of her dark mind, and based on visuals of her, my spidey senses are telling me it is getting progressively worse. So, guys, I would like to hear from all of you what you think, but maybe turn the sound off on this video and go through the photographs I have provided and just sit back and tell me how these photographs make you feel. I think that would be a good exercise. Okay, my dears, I'll be back as soon as I can. So until then, please take excellent care of yourself. Bye.